enjoy a ton, working strictly with Axanthic Ball Pythons.
So 2003, what was going on in your life other than ball pythons in 2003? Like, were you pretty good with your career work wise, or were you starting a family? What kind of give us what was going on in your life in 2003?
Oh, great question. So I graduated college in 2002. And I had a high school sweetheart turned college sweetheart turned girlfriend that her and I had just splitting up. I had, started a new career at a new job. And I was like, what am I going to spend this money I had saved up on a ring that's totally ridiculous? And that's where the actual snake hobby started. Was I'm going to buy a $3,500 Axanthic ball python. And one turned into two turned into three, that type of stuff. But yeah, back then it was the early part of not only my reptile career, but also my professional career in the aviation industry as well. So,
wow, aviation industry.
Yeah, I work for an avionics and communications company as an engineer. Yep, that's my day job. So
and that has to be some sort of a passion, because I mean, you enjoy what you do. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just enjoy what you do, which is probably doing the snakes too? You probably love doing both, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's made it hard in recent years, because I absolutely do love both jobs, and you get to a point, especially if you're passionate about anything that you do, where you've done it for so long that you enjoy it. You know what I mean? You almost can't give it up. The people, the interfacing, what or what you're surprised that people don't know, the history of things as it's happened over time, whether it be, within the culture and business areas of your job, or the reptile industry, or whatever. It all becomes kind of part of your life and your lifestyle, so to speak. So yeah, it's kind of hard to give up both.
I had one job. Okay, so my job before COVID happened, and I lost the 9 to 5 I was holding on to, which led to me just doing snakes and podcasts full time, was the job that made me learn that I loved what I was doing, and that's helping people, right? And I was in the gym industry. I worked for Verizon for like fucking 11 years. So all I did was sell phones and made good money selling phones, but I wasn't happy. I was like a miserable fuck, And I got into the gym industry because I was overweight and I just wanted to change my life. And I remember coming into the gym industry with all this cell phone experience, they didn't care. They're like, you need to start from the bottom. They're like, we're gonna have you just do basic sell shit. And I'm like go talk to people on the fucking gym floor and try to get them to sell personal training. And dude, that was the hardest thing I've ever learned how to do. Talking to people about their health and getting them to invest in themselves and personal training was the hardest but the most rewarding thing I ever learned how to do. Because once I believed in it, once I started losing the weight and all this shit started happening to me, it was so easy for me to talk about. You know what I mean?
Because you were passionate about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was never passionate about selling a phone. I was passionate about fucking getting a paycheck. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all about the money. And no matter how much money I made at Verizon, dude, 19 years old, clearing over 80 grand. It was just never enough. And I never knew how to save money. Never knew what to do with money. I blew that shit like it was nothing. I had all these other side hustles that made me even more money.
Hookers and blow are tough to give up. I know what you mean.
Dude, I mean, I never liked hookers, but goddamn, I loved cocaine. I'll tell you that much. And I used to sell a shit ton of that. I don't want to go down that road. But anyways, all I got to say is the passion, learning how to work and go to work and feel good because dude, I have all these people I know I'm going to talk to and I don't know. Something that became so hard just became so easy. And once I saw that, I was fucking hooked. But then, the same thing with the snakes, the snakes, that's my passion with the learning how to take care, how to help people came to learning how to invest in myself. Right. I love the snakes. I didn't like selling drugs. I didn't like partying, but I did love the snakes. So I learned to sacrifice some shit, and the passion part went into the snakes. Right.
Yep.
And so when those two together, you know what I mean? I'm telling you right now, anyone who tries to come into this shit, John, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but anyone who comes into this shit, anyone who comes into this without the passion over the money mindset is not going to hang in this shit whatsoever.
I agree with you 1,000%.
You're not going to get what you want. If you want the money and you're expecting to see a certain number off the first few years, this shit happens the way it happens. And I know we're going to talk about that tonight, but the passion is such a huge part of this. And, people could advertise themselves all they want and fucking be Mr. Sticker Swaps and shit, but you can see some of them just don't have the passion,
Yep.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we're going to go down
Passion. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Passion behind anything that you do is reflected in the quality of work that you do, in the faces of the other people that you're interfacing with, whether it be coworkers or bosses or other people you work with, or customers, on the reptile industry, that type of stuff. Uh-oh, he left me. You guys are gonna have to deal with me straight on. We're gonna have to give him a couple minutes. All right, fire away. Rapid fire questions while MJ's not here. Oh, dang it, he's back. So anyway, then what I think about MJ? Oh, you're back. Okay.
You son of a bitch. I'm just like, wait a minute. Okay, no, quality, right? But what I'm bridging to now, John, is like 2003 and stuff like that. Like, you had to build some really good habits on your own because there wasn't much around you to learn off of, right? Like, how are you gaining knowledge back then? Like, who were like, do you have mentors that you still talk to now, or what was it like back then?
Yeah, I mean, great question. So some of it was just developing a rapport with different people within the industry, and I'll give you one name that jumped out at me as somebody that kind of took me a little bit under their wing, maybe even apprehensively, and was a good Q&A and became a very good friend, and that's Bruce and Sarah Dulles of Twin City Reptiles. Bruce was a name a long time ago and has been in reptiles longer than I probably, well, maybe not longer than I've been alive, but maybe at this point, yeah, probably longer than I've been alive. And just interfacing with somebody that knew that much about reptiles and the hobby and everything was super helpful to me when I first got started, and also gave good business perspective as a guy that's developed a successful, reptile business for I don't even know how many years that he's still running to this day. So
That's cool.
It's been back at that day. It was again a lot of interfacing with people. The internet was right there. I mean, it wasn't like internet didn't exist, but it was all in the form of like ballpythons.net and King Snake and all these forums that were really hard to navigate and find information. blbc.net, all that type of stuff. So a lot of it was just establishing rapport with people and kind of learning through the people around you in the industry. People were, to say it differently, the industry seemed smaller then, and it was easier to reach out and touch people and get emails and phone calls and stuff like that. It wasn't as huge as it is now. And so like I remember, which maybe nobody knows anymore, but like Ralph Davis, who was huge in the industry back then, I sent him an email with a couple of questions on how he set up his incubator and egg tubs, and he sent me an email back, and I was like, oh my God, blown away that this guy took time out of his day to answer a non-purchase question. I remember Greg Graziani sending him an email about questions about racks, and he called me and started talking me through the rack systems that he uses and pros and cons. And I was just shocked that these giants in the industry, would just answer the phone or give me a call and just want to talk shop. And it wasn't about me buying an animal. It was awesome.
I've had real good, like, short conversations, but like a lot of like quick, like short conversations with Ralph Davis. And he knows, like, trust me, he knows about my podcast. Cause I've like that's one guy I just, I can't say he's like right there on deck, but I'm working on it. And that I have so much to fucking want to talk to Ralph Davis about, just because how far back he goes with everyone, Barcheck, you name it, you know what I mean? So, and but like I'm saying, there's like many people like Ralph Davis, which is why I also appreciate this hobby. Like you have so many people who, either they've come late to Instagram, but like they just don't put themselves out there. But like you go to shows and you get to know them and you get to meet them and you see how far back. And that's why, like, man, shows are so important, John, because you really get to see behind the social media knowledge of the reptile game. And you understand before all these fucking Instagram communities, like snake communities, it was the fucking shows, like people linked up at the shows, so I just feel like the two different communities are different, like you're gonna get the real vibe and the real idea of what kind of hobby you're in when you go to a show. I feel like,
Yeah, and I think it puts a reality around the breeders and their animals and their stock and who they are as people too, that you just don't get through virtual experiences, online perusing Morph Market or their webpage or emailing them, stuff like that. It puts a reality to it. And something I want to throw out there, in an almost apologetic fashion, I constantly get people that come up to me at shows and start talking to me, and I have no idea who they are. And some
oh my
faces,
God, me too. Oh, bro, dude,
some faces I
listen.
remember, but like we'll have had
Okay.
so many email conversations, even if it's 10 or 100 email conversations, but then they'll come talk to me like I should know who they are, and I'm like,
see,
who
John,
are
I'm very
you?
blunt. I'm very blunt about it. Only because I mean, for my defense, I have not been in this nearly as long as you have. You've been going to a lot of shows, so maybe I mean, I don't know who you're not remembering, but for me, bro, for me, dude, like if I haven't actually like met you continuously at every show, and this is maybe either our second time seeing each other or first time seeing each other, like you gotta tell me your name. You know what I mean? But I don't know how
Right.
many times people are like MJ, and I'm just looking at them. I'm like, and I have to literally ask them and I hate asking somebody who are you. It's the most rude thing ever. But I'm like, dude, like who are you? Like I feel like if we never met, say, hey MJ, say your name right afterwards. Please help me with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It would just
Yeah.
the eyes right off the bat versus like, hey man, who are you? And then, bro, honestly, like, this is my bad too, but it happened to me with a couple Patreon members at Tinley, and I felt so bad because. Thank you for watching this week's Trap Talk clip. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment, and if you're looking for exclusive, non-release content here on YouTube, you're going to want to go down to the link and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Once you become a part of the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord, and then you also get tapped into all unreleased content. Thank you so much for all the love and support, and I'll catch you guys here next week. Cheers!